Leeds United, Jesse Marsch gets his first win against Norwich 2-1, though it was very, very nerve-wracking, definitely towards the end of that. Heath, why don't you run down that game for us? I mean, Leeds took the lead, then Norwich equalized, and then mayhem ensued.
Yeah, it was mayhem. Leeds had plenty of chances to win this one. As it got closer to the end, you're like, there might be something out here for Norwich. They ended up getting a goal off of just sloppy defending, tracking runners, and it was one of these games where it had this derby feel to it, where everyone was arriving hard on challenges. There were scraps and scuffles and all kinds of things where 3-4 players are falling on top of each other. It just had that relegation battle. And then when Norwich got the equalizer, it just seemed like a little doom and gloom for me with regard to Jesse Marsch and earning the respect from, selfishly speaking, for about an American manager. And then they got a bad turnover. Rafinha goes down to the touchline, cuts it back, and they bury it. And it was just absolute chaos in the stadium. And it just reminded me of just, you get this time of year, and I'm just so caught up in the Champions League and the Premier League title races and Serie A title race and all these kinds of things. Where's Arsenal going to fit into this? That you forget about a whole nother world, and that's the relegation world. You don't forget about it, but when you see something like this, you quickly realize a few things. One, how much getting 3 points against Norwich, which should be automatic for a team like Leeds, means to the club. This is by far, and not even close, Jesse Marsch is coached in Champions League. This is by far the biggest match of his career, to be able to get out of this with a point. And it was scrappy. It was ugly. They had plenty of chances. They should have probably not gotten 3 points out of it by the time it came to the end. They kept it going. They got the 3 points. Now gives them a little bit of a gap. But when you see in the stadium, there's very few things, Luis, that take me back to like my career. And I've been in relegation battles in the Bundesliga. But when you see things like that, I very rarely relate to Man City running away with the title or playing beautiful football. But when you see a win at the death, everybody can relate to that played the game at any level, at any point of getting 3 points at the death. And it just meant so much to those fans. It was just an incredible experience to switch over to, because I was so bored watching the Newcastle-Chelsea game that when I switched over, I was like, I'll throw this on. I can't think of, in theory, like a worse game to watch on the weekend than Leeds against Norwich, but knowing that there's some implications there, I was like, what the heck? I had trouble finding it. It was buried in everything on the platform I was watching on. And I finally found it, put it on, and it was just a total joy to watch from those closing minutes. But I was worried about Jesse Marsch there for a bit.
Well, I'll tell you what, that result means that obviously Leeds 16th, right, with 26 points, and they are 4 points above Everton, who lost. We're going to get into Everton in a second, but here's a question for everybody. Will Jesse Marsch keep Leeds up? Simple yes or no. Heath, staying with that? I mean, I'm staying with yes, obviously. Thoughts?
Yeah, I say yes. I mean, this is his first win. It's a huge win. He has improved the team. I mean, to be fair, the gaps they had against Norwich defensively, especially in the final 20, 30 minutes, which is Leeds' biggest issue always, didn't look good. They didn't look better. They looked disorganized. And if a Norwich team can find gaps and spaces and counterattacks and things like that, it worries me. But the upside is that you're looking at a Leeds team that got their first win under Jesse Marsch. They have a little bit of momentum now. And, you don't have to, you know what I mean? Like, it's like you don't have to outrun the bear. You just have to outrun your friends that you're with, that's kind of thing, where it's like they only have to outrun one of those next three teams. I think Norwich is for sure going to go down. Burnley and Watford obviously have a little bit of life left in them, especially after today. And got that result against Southampton. So I don't think it's going to be easy, but where two out of just have to outrun one of them, I think I like the chances of that. And so overall, when I think about Everton and the state that they're in, when I think about Leeds and the quality of play that they have and just continuing to get a little bit better, if they can win, if they can get 4 points in their next 3 or 4 games, I like their chances of staying up. And so I think yes. I should have made that a much shorter answer, but the answer is yes.
No, you brought context. It was fine. It was fine. A reminder, everybody, that this is our weekend recap, and we are celebrating 10,000 subscribers on our YouTube channel. Unbelievable. Thank you so much. To celebrate this great achievement, we're giving away a $100 gift card for Paramount Plus. You can watch Serie A, Champions League, CONCACAF, so much more, TV shows, etc., etc. We're giving it away, but we need 100 likes on this video, and then we will pick a random viewer. You got to give your Twitter or IG handle for that as well. Okay, so just making sure that everybody knows we're here to celebrate 10,000 subscribers by giving away a Paramount Plus subscription, but we need your likes on this video. All right, very quickly, obviously, we mentioned, I'm a little worried, I've mentioned it for a while now, but Everton losing, let's see here, Everton losing 1-0 to Wolves. Connor Cody, by the way, condemning the Toffees to 8th defeat in 9 Premier League matches. That's 4 losses on the bounce for Frank Lampard's side. I'm worried about Everton. And as you mentioned, Watford, by the way, Cucho Hernandez with a brace against Southampton. First of all, Heath, just on that, before we move on, quick relegation battle thing. Everton, I mean, it's still as is because Burnley obviously lost as well. But could you see Everton dropping even further? It's pretty alarming.
I mean, this is just the luck of the draw. And by the way, our producer, Des Norris, told me I was muted. Obviously, Des, I knew that because I was going over to the YouTube channel to throw a like in there to get us closer so we can give these things out. I didn't have a chance, man. I was nervous the sound was going to come on and I was going to mess this whole thing up. But yeah,
it's early in the morning for you over there. He was worried.
I do appreciate his just seeing what's going on right now because that's good producing. But I had control of the wheel at least once in a while. But yeah, now I've lost my train of thought because I'm an idiot.
Everton,
but Everton.
Everton, because it does worry me. It does worry me the way that they're playing. Frank Lampard clearly hasn't figured it out yet. It's difficult. Could they keep dropping?
I just don't know if Frank Lampard has it figured out yet as a manager, and he's seemingly going into a tough situation like this. And you're playing against a Wolves side who haven't been great lately either, right? We were talking about, can Wolves go top 4? And so Everton is facing a team that also is in a must-win situation for their own ambitions for the year, and then unable to convert or create anything out of this game. And so I'm worried about Everton. Like, I like Leeds more than Everton because at least when I look at Leeds, I go, okay, there's some flashes of something here. They at least have the ability to produce some goals. And then if they can get a few other things right, they've got a chance. Whereas Everton are almost in this state of it's that rare thing. We actually see this a lot more often in the Bundesliga where the big clubs, they go through these falls, right? Where we finally have Werder Bremen in the second division. Hamburg went through the same thing some years ago. We saw that happen with Schalke going through the same thing where eventually these big, huge clubs, these European clubs that play Champions League, Europa League, eventually just start to fade off to the point where you're like, not middle table. They fade off because something's just really, really wrong. And it's a mix of sporting director, signings, money pumped into the club, coaching changes. And it seems like Everton have a mix of all that sort of special sauce right now that makes me wonder where it is they're going to actually find the answers in the coming games. Because I don't think it's going to come from Frank Lampard. I don't think it's going to come from the players on the field. I think it's going to have to be a mix of a team they play has a really bad day and Everton has a above average day, and somehow it works out that way. And so I'm worried about them for sure. And they very well could go down.